The puppy is ceremonially escorted out to the stage because I don't want any competition. All right, now, after a very, very long time, we are listening to a new text. You never thought, perhaps, that you would emerge from those two sentences that we have been trying to understand for 4 months. Well, there's a great deal more that life can offer. And today, we are going to look at a story. Don't worry about the scripture part. We'll only look at the story. There is a nice little story. And who doesn't like a story? You like stories? Do you write stories? You spread stories? All right. Now, I'll just very briefly recount the outlines of the story. A man, a master, as he was about to leave on a long journey, calls his servants, just 3 of them, it's easy to remember, and entrusts his wealth to them. To the first, he gave 5 talents. A talent is a measure. It's a very large amount. I mean, equivalent to something like, you say, $75,000 or $100,000. So it's not a small thing. So to one, he gave 5 talents. To the second, he gave 2 talents. And to the third, he gave 1 talent. All this is very simple. I mean, nursery school, kindergarten children will remember it and recount it without any difficulty. After a long while, he comes back. And when he comes back, the first servant to whom 5 talents were given goes and submits to his master, not 5 talents, but 10 talents, because in the meanwhile, he applied and multiplied the 5 talents his master had entrusted with him. Likewise, the second servant to whom 2 talents were given goes and hands over 4 talents. But the third person to whom 1 talent was given goes with just 1 talent and begins straight away to attack the master. Right? Appreciates what, all right, I was saying that the servant to whom just 1 talent was given begins right away by attacking the master, saying, "You are a cruel and hard-hearted man. I was scared of you, therefore I went and dug a pit and hid my talents. Here it is, you can take back." Now, 2 contrasting attitudes to life, and this is what I want you to understand very clearly. 2 contrasting attitudes to life and the consequences of both. This is what is of universal relevance to everybody's life, whether it is in the 1st century AD or in the 21st century of the Common Era. Right? That's what we are trying to understand. The importance of attitudes. As against this, the widespread assumption is that what is important is the quantity of what you receive. This is what I call the quantitative fallacy. Can you remember that? The quantitative fallacy. In a materialistic culture particularly, things are valued in terms of quantity. Quantity, say for example, bulk or cost. That's why certain cars are status symbols. Certain watches are status symbols. For example, Nadal, the Spanish player, went into panic 3 years ago because he thought somebody had stolen his watch when he was staying in a hotel while playing in a tournament. Do you know the reported price of his watch? 3.5 crores. Now, surely you don't need that kind of watch to be punctual. You can manage with a 500 rupee watch pretty well. Anyway, so the tyranny of quantity, which marks the outlook of people, particularly in a materialistic age, therefore we need to be very clear about this. By the way, one of the things that drives this culture of corruption is precisely this tyranny of quantity. People think that there is security in quantity. So if I lay up, if I accumulate 3,000 crores, my next 10 generations will be safe. They don't have to worry about where the next day's meal will come from. So I'm doing a great service to my children, their children, their grandchildren. So that's how people think. I mean, when we hear the report that so-and-so has, through corrupt practices, accumulated a wealth of 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 crores, you should surely understand that that is not for his consumption alone. Nobody can finish except through very mad methods, even 100 crores. It's a huge amount of money, right? But people are not happy even with 2,000 crores. The reason is that the only standard by which we measure the value of anything at all is quantity. And more importantly, the only way we experience our own worth is in terms of the quantity of what we have acquired, what we own. Okay? And the society as a whole has accepted this as a norm. So some people are valued not because they are good human beings or respectable in any sense, but only because they have plenty of money. Nobody asks how they got this money. One thing is very sure, in this country, it is impossible to become extra or stinging rich through honest means. That you must understand once and for all. So if somebody is very rich, please understand that that person has compromised his moral principles in toto. But such people will command a lot of respect in the society because the society has only one yardstick, one norm for judging people or evaluating them, and that is quantity. Now, I want you to know that quantity is oppressive. Most people don't realize this. For example, if you have to carry a bag of 100 kilograms yourself, that is certainly more oppressive than a bag of 5 kilograms. That you will understand. Now, unfortunately, these accumulations of material wealth can be put away in some corner and forgotten. Suppose it becomes a rule that all banks are abolished and every individual has to carry his money in his pocket. How will a politician carry 3,000 crores in his pocket? I only have a handkerchief. Will it be possible? Then he will know what I call the oppressiveness of the tyranny of material possessions. It's a burden. Now, I'll give you another illustration. Suppose you have 2 cars instead of 1. The second car is such a burden. You will have no use for it. There are many people who invite this kind of unnecessary, senseless burdens. There are people who take pride in owning a fleet of cars. 5 cars, 6 cars. I mean, how many cars can you use at a time? Your leg in one car, your hand in another car, your nose in another car, preferably in a Volkswagen Beetle, nose. So each limb, each part of your body appropriately parked in a suitable car. Now, this is absurd. And yet, if you have a fleet of cars, you'll be respected, whereas you should be laughed at. But our society does not understand it. And so long as there is social honor associated with excessive accumulation of wealth and physical amenities, corruption can never be controlled. Okay, but let me come back to the specifics of the story. Now, why in the world did the master practice inequality? Why should he give 5 talents to one, 2 talents to another, and only 1 talent to the third servant? You might think that this is unfair, right? After all, it would have been a lot better to distribute the talents equally. But that's foolish, because your attitude makes all the difference. In fact, there is a very direct and decisive relationship between what life gives you and your attitude to life. This is something I would plead with you to understand. What you get out of life depends on your attitude to life. Now, if your attitude is negative, life will give you nothing. Instead, life will condemn you. And your predicament will be one of great unhappiness and remorse. On the other hand, irrespective of your position, your situation, your predicament, if you have a positive attitude to life, life will shower blessings upon you, and you will become a happy person. But before I now go further on this, let me explain one important concept, because that's very important to the understanding of this text. Now, talent, for example, has become part of the English vocabulary from this parable. See, when we say that he is a very talented person, the origin of that word is from this. All right? Now, talent, let us say, mean or can mean a variety of things. Talent can mean gifts, for example. Now, each one of us has at least one gift. Some may have more than one gift. Some may have 5 gifts, some may have 2 gifts, some may have only 1 gift. But there is nobody who is without a gift. Now, that is God's justice to all of mankind. There is no assumption anywhere that talents will be identical, talents will be equal in number. But what is absolutely certain is that there is no human being in the world who is without a talent. So there is something to work with. So very often I find people looking at somebody else who is more successful and developing a sense of inferiority complex. And they succumb to that complex, and all complexes paralyze. These complexes prevent you from doing your best. What is important is not to worry about somebody else's achievement or flamboyance or progress. What is important is to take the gift given to you seriously, work at it regularly, and to multiply that 1 talent. Now, when the 1 talent is multiplied, it becomes 2. All right? Then you catch up with the second servant who was given 2 talents. So at the next stage, your 2 talents become 4. At the next stage, it becomes 8, then it becomes 16. Then you can actually catch up with the one who was given 5. But if the person who was given 5 talents has the same attitude, then he may go further ahead. Why should you worry about it? The fact is that you have greatly multiplied your talents, and your life is become a great celebration. And that's what matters. So, there are certain principles of eternal validity that I want to enunciate for your benefit, based on the story. First, what is important is not what you are given or what you get. What is important is what you do with it. Now, there are two options here. One is to apply the given gift and to multiply it. The other option is to go and dig a pit and bury it. Okay? Which means, burial means what? Refusing to do anything with it, putting it away. This is a possibility always. There are many people who showed early promise in life, maybe as a speaker, maybe as a singer, maybe as a dancer, or whatever, but did not care to cultivate that particular gift, as a result of which it withered away. And they became as people with nothing at all. And then, of course, they will blame God, saying, nothing is meant to be a resting point. Nothing is meant to be an inert object that you can put away in your cellar or in a dark corner. When you receive something, it comes to you as an invitation to do something about it. For example, you have received admission to St. Stephen's College. You can treat it as the third servant who got 1 talent and consigned this to complete inaction, and somehow spend the next 3 years here and get away, cursing yourself and cursing college. You can also behave like the first 2 servants who went out, worked hard with great enthusiasm. In fact, the text says they went out at once and multiplied their talents. So the word "at once" is significant because it indicates great enthusiasm, great eagerness. And that's the secret of life. So whatever is given to you comes to you as an invitation and encouragement to go and apply yourself, treating it as a medium of your growth. The third principle is that whatever is given to you is the stepping stone to the next. I mean, you have experienced it all the while. I mean, you were admitted to, say, class 1. It was a stepping stone to class 2. Class 2 was a stepping stone to class 3. That's the law of life. Now, if you don't do justice to the step that's given to you, then you may not be able to go to the next stage. So, it's of utmost importance for us to take whatever is given to us with great enthusiasm and an attitude of gratitude. And the final principle on which I shall close is this. We must understand the meaning of a talent. A talent is a gift. A gift is given to you, which means it doesn't originate in you. Whatever originates in you does not have to be given to you. Only that which does not originate in you needs to be given to you. You have 2 hands, 2 legs. Nobody needs to give you a leg or a hand. It's there. But a talent is a very special gift, which actually means that it has its origin somewhere else. This is, of course, the religious or spiritual worldview. And the spiritual worldview very clearly emphasizes that our talents are given to us in trust by the Creator so that we can exercise trusteeship, responsible stewardship over the talents and not treat them as our private property. You know, there are people who show off their talents, right? And that's because they don't understand the meaning of a talent. You can show off only what is yours. Your talent is not your property. It's not your private property. It is entrusted to you. You must develop it to the uttermost, not to show off, but to fulfill the purposes behind it. For example, one obvious purpose of every talent is the enrichment of the world around. If you have the gift to sing, for example, or the gift to be a good friend, the gift to comfort others, the gift of leadership, whichever gift you have. Maybe sometimes the gift to be quiet, sometimes the gift to be dependable. Most important, whatever be the gift given to you, you are required, you are expected to develop these gifts not to be your private property, but as a resource with which to enrich and help the people around. That is what is called trusteeship. And this is exactly the opposite of ownership, which is the reigning mentality today. People say it's my gift. There's nothing called my gift. It's a gift given to us in trusteeship so that we can use it responsibly, creatively, in order to enrich the world in which we are placed. Now, this is the reason why in St. Stephen's College we have so many clubs and societies. They're meant to enable you to develop your talents and to enrich the college life, what we call the total life of the college, with your talents. That's the true meaning of it. Unfortunately, what I find now is that this second half of it, namely the keenness to enrich the total life of the college, has diminished, and the tendency to show off, the tendency to parade oneself, draw attention to oneself, and to boast of one's talents is on the ascendancy. And that happens only because we don't understand the meaning of a gift or a talent. So from this story, there are three major principles that we have learned, and they are of lasting value, and I hope that you will keep this in your line of thinking and benefit from it all the way through. Let's rise for prayer.